There's a point in the ocean where instruments fail, compasses go haywire, and silence seems to watch anyone who approaches. What if I told you that before they were myths, these creatures were recorded? Not in fantasy books, but on old nautical charts, in secret accounts from military expeditions, in coordinates that should never have been revealed. Today, you will cross a line that separates science from the inexplicable. Why, when the celestial meets the abyss, we are not only dealing with sea monsters, we are facing something that seems to know that we exist. Humanoid beings swimming under the Antarctic ice. Biblical dragons mentioned before civilization itself. A Japanese entity that only emerges when the ocean is too calm. A monster described in the Bible that God prevented from reproducing. It is a cosmic horror whose mental presence can drive mad anyone who dares to perceive it. These are not made-up stories. These are traces, fragments hidden for centuries, off, silenced, perhaps because looking at these creatures, whether it's like looking at our own end, if you're watching this video right now, I want you to do one thing. Take a deep breath, listen to your surroundings, and try not to imagine what might be watching us right now in the depths, because from now on, you will never see the ocean the same way again. If you're already curious about this topic, leave a like and subscribe to the channel for even more surprising facts. There are creatures in the ocean that shouldn't have a human form, but they do. And there are biblical dragons that science has never catalogued, but that sailors swore they had seen. Today you'll learn about 5 marine entities so disturbing that reports about them have been erased, silenced. Because looking at them would be the same as looking at one's own end. Not all of these monsters are ancient. Some may be alive now. They say the sea holds secrets, but there are secrets that the sea tries to give back to us, as if he wanted to warn us. For centuries, cultures separated by entire oceans have described the same things. Colossal shadows, impossible bodies, eyes that seem to understand, and the feeling that something was watching back. These creatures do not belong to mythology. They belong to the human fear of what one cannot understand. And some of them were never found because maybe they shouldn't be. Before we begin, you need to understand one thing. 96% of the ocean has never been explored. Pay attention to this number, 96%. This means we know more about the surface of Mars than about the bottom of our own oceans, and there's more. Every year, science discovers between 1,500 and 2,000 new marine species. We're not talking about ordinary fish. We're talking about creatures with bioluminescence, absurd sizes and alien shapes, things that defy logic. Now imagine this. If science confirms bizarre creatures every year, what is it that it found and decided not to disclose? Few people know this part, but we're going to reveal it now. We begin with something that should be fiction, but it isn't. The 2000s, frozen waters of Antarctica. Japanese sailors on a whaling expedition begin reporting something impossible. Giant white humanoid beings swimming beneath the ice. They called it ningen, which in Japanese literally means human being. And the description is disturbing. A smooth, pale, hairless body, like human skin, stretched over something colossal. Arms and legs structured exactly like ours. A face with recognizable eyes, nose and mouth. Estimated size between 20 and 30 meters in length. Estimated weight, 30 tons. 30 tons of something that looks like people, moving slowly beneath the ice, like a living shadow. Now comes the part that nobody explains. Photos and videos started appearing on the internet. Blurred images, but visible. And then, all the original versions disappeared. Divers who publicly commented on these creatures were silenced. We don't know if it's due to corporate pressure, government pressure, or something worse. Look, we're not talking about something prehistoric. We are talking about modern accounts. People with cameras, deep-sea diving equipment, and GPS coordinates. And yet, the Ningen was never officially catalogued. Could it be an unknown animal that evolved in absolute cold? A mutation of something we know, or is something that existed before humanity and simply observes us? Now we go back in time, a long time ago, before the Bible as you know it, before Christ, before Rome. In the oldest surviving Hebrew texts, a word appears tanim, or taninim in the plural, and that word meant ancestral sea dragon, creature of primordial chaos. But here's the disturbing part. There's no exact physical description. That's precisely why many scholars believe that the Tanim represented that which even the prophets dared not describe. Something so terrible that the only way to record it was not to detail it. According to the texts, Tanim inhabited the ocean before the creation of the world. It symbolized the chaos before divine order. He fought alongside Yam, the Canaanite god of the sea, against Baal. And he was defeated or imprisoned. This is a fact that few people know. Scholars believe that the myth of Tanim inspired two creatures that you probably know. Lotan, from Canaanite mythology, and Leviathan, from the Christian biblical version. Now imagine, if Tanim really existed, it would be one of the first sea monsters in history, before humanity touched the ocean, predating the Greek myths, before everything else. And if something like that once existed, who can guarantee that it's gone? Feudal Japan. Fishermen return to the village, but some never come back. And those who return changed. In ancient Japanese traditions, there is a warning. If the sea is too calm, it is not a good sign. It's a trap, because there is something that only appears when the ocean is absolutely still. Something that fishermen called umibozu, the monk of the sea. Description reported by survivors: black body, smooth with no defined face, a rounded head, like that of a Buddhist monk with a shaved head. Estimated height between 30 and 60 meters. It emerges from the ocean like a living mountain. Estimated weight exceeding 40 tons. And there's more. They say he's capable of sinking entire ships with a single movement. But pay attention to this detail. Some believe that the umibozu is not a monster. It is the spirit of Buddhist monks who drowned, returning to punish the living, or to warn. There's an old rule among Japanese navigators. If you encounter the umibozu, don't talk to it, don't answer if he speaks, don't ask questions, because whoever answers back sinks. Would you have the courage to remain silent if a 60-meter-long creature emerged alongside your boat? Now we come to the most famous one, and perhaps to the most real one. The Book of Job, chapter 41, one of the oldest texts in the Bible. And there it is, Leviathan. It's not a metaphor, it's not a symbol. The description is literal, and it's terrifying. Colossal sea dragon, covered in impenetrable scales, breath that spewed flames from the ocean. A roar capable of making the sea tremble, eyes that shone like the dawn. And here's the part that will send chills down your spine. According to the Book of Job, God created only one male, and it destroyed the female. Do you know why? To prevent them from reproducing, because if that happened, they would destroy the world. Symbolic estimates based on the biblical description place Leviathan at over 60 meters in length. A living wall, plunged into darkness, waiting. Over time, Leviathan became a symbol of everything that man fears in the depths. But what if he's not just a symbol? Job 41 verse 10 says, "No one is bold enough to rouse him. Nobody, not even before, not even now." And we've arrived at the most disturbing one of all, 1928. The writer H.P. Lovecraft published a short story called The Call of Cthulhu, and he introduces the world to a creature he describes as cosmic horror beyond human comprehension. But here's what nobody tells you. Lovecraft publicly stated that he dreamed about the creature before writing about it, as if he had received the information from somewhere. Description according to the myth, a colossal amphibian being, approximately 1,000 meters tall, head covered in living tentacles, wings similar to those of a dragon, claws that could shatter mountains, a body that defies known geometry. And he is not dead. He is asleep. In the submerged ruins of R'lyeh, somewhere in the depths of the Pacific Ocean. Coordinates: 47 degrees 9 minutes south, 126 degrees 43 minutes west. These coordinates are real. Lovecraft included them in the story, and they are located at the most isolated point on the planet, known as Point Nemo. But pay attention to this part. According to Lovecraft's mythology, the mere mental presence of Cthulhu would be enough to drive anyone who perceives it insane. You don't need to see it. You just need to feel it. And there's more. Theorists suggest that Lovecraft was influenced by real accounts from divers in the early 20th century, strange ocean sounds picked up by ships, and something called the bloop. But let me tell you this much. In 1997, NOAA recorded a sound in the South Pacific, so loud that it was heard more than 5,000 kilometers away, and it came from the depths, exactly near the coordinates of R'lyeh. Lovecraft wrote, "Cthulhu sleeps, but he is about to awaken. What if he's not sleeping anymore?" Now stop and think with me. Of these 5 creatures, which one do you believe could actually exist? Ningen has modern reports, photos, videos, coordinates. Tannim and Leviathan appear in ancient religious texts from cultures that never communicated. The Umibozu has been described identically by Japanese fishermen for centuries, and Cthulhu, well, Cthulhu has the coordinates. But here's the question nobody wants to ask. What if science has already discovered some of these things, but decided not to reveal them? Think about it. If we discovered that there was a 60-meter-long creature in the ocean, capable of sinking ships just by moving, do you think the government would announce it, or would he keep quiet to avoid global panic? 96% of the ocean has never been explored, and every year something new is discovered, something that shouldn't exist. But it exists. So here's the truth. We don't know the ocean. We're just floating on the surface of it, and down there in the places where light has never reached, where the pressure would crush a human in seconds, there may be ancient things, things that never died, things that just wait, and maybe, just maybe, some of them have already realized we're here. If you're watching this video at night, try not to imagine the sound of something slowly scraping beneath your boat, or the shadow moving under the ice, or tentacles emerging from the depths. If this episode intrigued you, leave a "I want to know more" in the comments, subscribe to the channel, share this with someone who loves dark stories, and turn on notifications, because the next video is surprising and you will want to see this. Until the next abyss.